talk about the data side of things. I think there's a big barrier in people's minds that, okay, these LLMs have a lot of potential, but unless your data is structured and ready for it, um, then they're not going to be useful, right? Unless you have some properly mapped or properly structured or properly tagged data, the AI is only as good as the data that it's feeding from. So can we spend a few minutes just on, some early stage lessons, so maybe some pre-homework people can do if they're trying to set up, a RAG chatbot or a RAG, report generator, what exactly are some limitations if their data is kind of a mess, as I think many organizations are.
So my experience has been completely the opposite way. I mean, you can spit out absolute garbage. It would extract some information out of it. So the way that you can look at the AI models to a certain extent is that it's a pattern recognizer. It recognizes patterns in whatever context you provide. Even if you provide structured data, it is looking at these columns and cells and then figuring out what's there in those cells and extracting the information. But in terms of unstructured data, like a paragraph of text, it can still make sense out of it because it's able to tokenize and identify the keywords and the sentence elements and everything else. So it's able to extract much more meaningful information just like a human would do. So if you are able to read a text, a paragraph, and you'll be able to identify who's the subject, what's the object, what's the action, what's the adjective, what's the verb. The ChatGPT is also able to do that, and it's able to extract information out of it. Even in some cases, when the paragraph or this text is completely, I mean, you would have seen that sometimes when you read a sentence, there are certain letters missing or words missing, but you kind of incorporate that in your reading without even realizing it. A lot of this happens with ChatGPT as well. You can give it a broken sentence and it will fill in the blanks. It basically tries to do a generation of what the sentence would look like and extract information out of it and identify a lot of things. So to answer your question, when you provide structured data, it definitely does. It's much more easier for it to extract information out of it. When you provide unstructured data or things like a paragraph or unformatted text or just a copy paste from a website, it still does a pretty good job of extracting meaningful information out of it.